A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. The sisters of Lazarus sent word to Jesus, saying, "Master, the one you love is ill." When Jesus heard this, he said, "This illness is not to end in death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was ill, he remained for 2 days in the place where he was. Then after this he said to his disciples, "Let us go back to Judea." When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise." Martha said, "I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord. I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." He became perturbed and deeply troubled, and said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Sir, come and see." And Jesus wept. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, "Could not the one who opened the eyes of the blind man have done something so that this man would not have died?" So Jesus, perturbed again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay across it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the dead man's sister, said to him, "Lord, by now there will be a stench. He has been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone, and Jesus raised his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but because of the crowd here I have said this, that they may believe that you sent me." And when he had said this, he cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face was wrapped in a cloth. So Jesus said to them, "Untie him and let him go." Now many of the Jews who had come to Mary and seen what he had done began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord. In the year 1878, a 4-year-old boy named Irish Wise came with his family to America to live. And he grew up mostly in New York. And as he grew up in America, 2 big things happened. Number one, he became a pretty good athlete. And secondly, he got a nickname. Some of his friends and classmates had trouble saying Irish, and so they called him Harry. And when Mr. Wise got done with school, he began a career as a magician. And so he would do card tricks and other magic tricks. And he was modestly successful, but he thought, maybe if I get a stage name, a new name, it'll help me to really become successful. Now, at the time, there was a pretty famous French magician who was named Jean Robert Houdin. And Mr. Wise thought, well, if I take the last name of that magician and I add the letter I to it, it will tell the world that I am like that person. And so that's what he did. And through that change, the person who was born into the world as Erich Weiss became known to the world as Harry Houdini. And when he got his new name, he got a new act. He became an escape artist. He began by escaping from things like handcuffs, and then he would escape from being tied up with ropes and chains, and he would escape from straitjackets. And then he would escape from those things when he was dangling from a rope in front of the audience. And then he would start to escape from being contained in things. And he would escape from something that looked like a giant milk bottle that was filled up with fluid with him inside, and the bottle would be sealed, and he would escape from that. And he would allow himself to be chained up and put in a crate, and the crate would be sealed and then lowered into the East River, and he would swim up to the surface after getting out of that. And one time he allowed a hole to be dug in the ground that was 6 feet deep, and he crawled down into the hole, and he was covered up with 6 feet of dirt. And so he had to crawl his way up to the surface, and his hands stuck up through the surface. But probably the most famous act that he did was something called the Chinese water torture cell. Some modern escape artists have done the same act. And with this act, he would have his ankles placed in stocks, and then he would be raised up and then lowered into a giant vat of water that would then be sealed, and then a curtain would be pulled across the vat so the audience couldn't see what actually happened, but he would appear outside the vat having escaped from it. And so he liked the reputation he got that he could escape from anything. And he also became interested in some of the magic tricks that other people were doing at the time, and he had a particular interest in psychics who claimed that they could conjure spirits up from the dead. And he took a special delight in exposing those psychics as being frauds. And so he thought to himself, well, this is all a bunch of voodoo. These psychics are nothing but frauds, and there's nothing to it. And he thought to himself, well, maybe there is. And he thought, well, maybe the great Houdini, the great escape artist, can even pull this one off. And so he made an arrangement with his wife, Bess, a few years before. She had performed in a play, and one of the big lines in the play was the line, "Rosabelle, believe." And so he told Bess, look, if I ever die and you're around, I'll do whatever I can to come back to you. And the way you'll know it's me and not just a fraud is that I will say those two words, Rosabelle, believe. And he got a chance to put that trick into action probably before he had planned. In the fall of 1926, he developed a ruptured appendix, largely because he kept performing when he had what was an obvious case of appendicitis. And he died on October 31st, 1926. He died on Halloween. And after his death, his wife Bess erected a little shrine in their apartment. She put up a photo of him, and she kept a candle constantly lit next to the photo. And every year on Halloween, she would have a seance. And so she would have a psychic there, or a medium, and maybe her friends would be there, and they would be imploring Harry to come back. And Bess would be waiting for those two words to tell her that he really had come back. But each year, she never heard those words. And so finally, in 1936, 10 years after his death, on Halloween, she held one final seance on the roof of the Knickerbocker Hotel in Los Angeles. And she implored him, please, come back, tell me those words. But he never came back. the great Houdini, that great escape artist, had fallen into the one trap that he couldn't get out of. And it was said that after that seance, 10 years after his death, Bess went back to their apartment and she gazed at the photo of her husband and the candle that burned beside it. And she said to herself, 10 years is long enough to wait for any man. And she blew out the candle. And today's gospel tells us of Christ hearing about the illness and then the death of his friend Lazarus. And as he goes to see Lazarus and his family, he's approached by Martha, and she castigates him. Lord, if you had only come before he died, you could have worked one of your miracles, one of your magic tricks, and he'd be okay. But now it's too late. Or is it? And Christ replies, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And Christ raises to life the man who was dead. And so, if we think of today's gospel and then we remember the story of the life and the death of Houdini, we can see our own predicament. In the modern world, we can cure diseases that were previously incurable, and we have all kinds of modern safety features and devices that will help to keep us alive. But against that one enemy, it's going to get us. And against that, we only have that precious gift of faith in Jesus Christ. And as I was thinking about how do I bring this gospel home to our parish community, I thought about one of our parishioners who passed away a couple of weeks ago. He was a wonderful young man who helped out and was a member of the RCIA team, and he was pretty much a friend to anybody he met, and he led a wonderful life in spite of a lot of illness and medical problems, and he even spoke of his own limitations in this life. And he was a regular visitor up to our Adoration Chapel. And thinking about that, I thought, during those times with everything that he had going on, he had to have, from time to time, thought about the words of Christ that we hear today. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And how those words must have given him comfort and guidance as he went on through his life. And I thought to myself, well, I sure could use some comfort and guidance, so no matter how busy I get, no matter how my schedule changes, I have to make sure to make time from time to time to get up there to the Adoration Chapel myself. And during the season of prayer and penance, perhaps each of us could think about just making one trip up there and to be with Christ just like Martha was, and to meditate, to ponder those words that she heard and that we hear today. And if you do go up there, you'll see burning that tabernacle candle right next to the monstrance, burning just like the candle that Houdini's widow kept for him. But unlike that candle, this tabernacle candle burns next to the Christ risen from the dead. And the hope that is symbolized in the light of that candle will last for 5 years, for 10 years. It will last for each of us until the day that we come to life after death.